back to many times with Crawford. And first of all, I just really would like to thank him. I feel his presence here. This is quite the reunion. Many of you I have met before here on campus at the ASA conference and in other places. So, and we don't often have a chance to see one another. So Crawford making this possible through our good friend and colleagues, Scott and Emilie. This is really, really nice. I just want to thank him for that. And I can never say enough for Crawford's precious daughters that I've had the opportunity to meet for sometimes since the day that we all know. And it's been a delight, and I am just so blessed. I would like to share with you just how Crawford touched me. I arrived here at Wisconsin, I cannot say by accident, because I am never an accident. Never. I tell my mom that even though she doesn't always understand what I'm talking about now. I was born 2 months early, and I said, Mama, that was not an accident. There's a very good reason for that. I had a lot to do. So I came here at the time when the internet was in its infancy. A lot of people did not know the internet, what it was, how to find things on the internet. It was a time of telnet. Today, people think the internet is Google. They have no idea what is behind Google. It was a time of file transfer protocol, FTP. And I used to teach drop-in workshops. I came from UC Irvine as a faculty hire. As a spousal hire, because my husband was the one that was recruited to come to Wisconsin. I did not want to come here because it is cold, because there is a library school here, and I read somewhere that everybody in this library system went to school here and is from Wisconsin. And I really did not want to come here because I did not think there would be anybody here like me. But I did come as a supportive faculty wife. Like Becky, I came to support my husband. And with that, I carried a baggage with that, because the perception at the time, I hope it has changed, was that as a faculty wife in the library, and there weren't many of us, by the way, I may have been one of the few, perhaps the first. You don't even know anything. And besides, you're speaking in an accent nobody had ever heard before. And besides, you're of a different race. And besides, you're from a different country where my own boss at the time, when onboarding me, giving me a tour of the reference room, I was a reference and instruction librarian. She said, Emilie, honey. I hate when people call me honey. I'm nice, but I'm not honey. I was against you coming here. Wow. We're in the reference tax. And I'm praying. I'm like, okay, God, help me not punch her. Because I used to fight when I was in school. I was against you coming here because I looked you up in library literature and found nothing by you and about you. And I looked at her. She could have been maybe perhaps at most 7 years older than me. And I said to her, well, if at my age, a year after library school, you have published something, good for you. I haven't yet, but a rendezvous in a couple of years, you will see. So that it's just a preamble to what I'm going to say here about Crawford. This is really not about me, but it's about the man, Crawford, and about our university here, and the role that we all play. When you're going about doing work the way you do, you don't realize what a mark, what an impact you're having on people. Crawford was very supportive to me in my career. He never told me that. I just felt it. I was a young librarian. I'm still young, but I was really young. This was 1991. And I hadn't published a thing. My name wasn't in anywhere. Today I'm on Facebook and everywhere. But nobody knew me here. And I enjoy teaching. So besides the course integrated library sessions, I did these drop-in workshops on all kinds of topics: resources in African studies, resources in African politics, African literature. So anybody who could come, community people came, university students came. Even one time, my sister, who's a professor of linguistics, was visiting. She came. Crawford always came to every one of these single workshops. A big professor, a big name. I saw all his books in my husband's library. And I'm thinking, this man, he does not need to be here. He has a lot of things to do. Why is he spending his precious time on such trivial matters for somebody like him? And many people, as I said earlier, were not exactly as welcoming as I had expected. And on library land, if you don't know it, on university campuses, when people know a faculty member is on your side, they begin checking themselves. I want you to know this, because the university is very hierarchical. Every university, every college. And we have two tribes. We have the faculty and staff. And when you're a person of color, an immigrant, speaking the way I speak English, which is not even my third or fifth or seventh language, some people just don't think you don't belong. But Crawford made me feel that I belong by his mere presence in the classroom. It was in room 421 on the fourth floor most of the time that I taught these sessions. And he came and sat in every one of these sessions. And I thought to myself, does he really need to be here? Or is he just sitting here to make sure that I am fine? I felt intimidated. You know, when somebody who's so smart and who's done so much is sitting in your class, it's really intimidating. And I think it made me also be a better teacher, because every time I would be preparing a workshop, I knew Crawford would show up. So I made sure that I was well organized, that my overhead transparencies, back then today we have PowerPoint, I still have my overhead transparencies, by the way. So, and though I was intimidated by his presence, I really appreciated that. I felt reassured by his presence. I always liked seeing him. And by the way, he never carried a notebook. I don't even know how he was in the department. He never carried a notebook or a pen. He was just empty-handed. But I knew that his mind was processing everything and taking it in. And then at the time, Estelle, Eva, and Louise, and my namesake Emilie, I had no idea about his family, his personal life. I did not even know that he had children. Actually, I didn't think he really had children, because he was always on campus, always busy, you know. So I thought, does this papa think I'm his daughter? Why is he always here? So I started seeing him as this father figure who's looking out for me. And I have to say, I always felt he was my guardian angel. And today I feel that even more. Excuse my emotions here. Because Crawford used to invite me. Sometimes it would be with Aliko for dinner. He liked having people over for dinner. And I always tried to not disappoint him, and I would always go. And the penultimate time he invited me over for dinner, it was to tell me something that I was very, very pleasantly surprised by. He told me what he was leaving in his estate for the library collection, for the African Studies collection. I just thought, gosh, this man, he will never stop impressing me, because in my career, nobody here at the UW-Madison had ever done that, especially about African studies. Because I see all of our ledger for gift funds for collections, nobody for the library, and Crawford did that. And again, I just thank him. I thank God for creating him and for putting him on my path, because I know if I'm a better librarian, a better person, a better woman, a better daughter today, it's thanks to him. So Louise mentioned his books. That really was a labor of love. We're not allowed to go to people's homes to work on potential donations. But I told my boss and the vice provost for libraries that I have to do this work because this is a high profile individual and you cannot mess with this. And she was new. And I told you, when when there are no faculty members behind you, they check themselves in the library. So she said, "Oh, Emilie, do what you want." So every time I'd be going to the apartment, I would let them know I would be going. I even took my student assistant one time, if I remember, Kimi and I, because I said, this is extremely important. These books are not coming here because we have maxed out when it comes to space. If you donate your books, they may end up at the book sale, which is still good, but I really thought that Crawford's books did not deserve to go to the book sale because people may not be interested to buy them. And I figured I knew a little bit about his history, his life in Congo, and he was dean at Lubumbashi. And I said to Estelle, Louise, and Eva and Emilie, I said, I think that we can find a good home for them in a place where we are very hungry for books, and there are students doing PhD works without good scholarly information. And that happened. And that work for me is my way of carrying his legacy, continuing that, and making sure that others will follow in his footsteps. That place, the Center for Political Studies at the University of Kinshasa, they have a wall that they call Le Mur des Immortels de la Recherche. So Crawford portrait will be on that wall, and they want me to send them a portrait of Crawford. So again, I wanted to share this with you, that wherever I am, I always feel I have my angel guardian, and I hope everybody has their own Crawford.